He promised Dr. S.A. a car if his wife gets pregnant in 12 weeks, after 10 years of trying to conceive. But he got his side chick pregnant instead. Let's look deep into the story and how we got here. In the quiet countryside of Siena, Italy, nestled between hills dusted with olive trees and cobbled streets warmed by the Mediterranean sun, lived Roberto and Lucia Ventresca. They got married in the summer of 2015. It was a wedding straight out of a Tuscan postcard. The vineyards of Chianti shimmered under a golden sun, and guests from across Italy and beyond danced into the night. At 30, both were in the prime of their lives, ambitious, stable, deeply in love. Lucia, a textile consultant with contracts across Europe, and Roberto, a classic car importer with a taste for old Ferraris and cigars, had it all planned. They agreed, no kids for the first 2 years. They wanted to travel, build their careers, and soak in every moment of freedom. But when year 3 came, they were ready, eager, even. They tossed the birth control, made love with intention, and waited for 2 pink lines. But they never came. Months turned to a year. By the time they celebrated their 4th anniversary, tension had crept into their lives like slow poison. Lucia began tracking her ovulation meticulously, taking her temperature every morning, using kits and counting days. Roberto became quiet, withdrawn. Every period felt like failure. Maybe we just need help, Lucia said softly one night, and so began the long road. Clinic 1, Santa Maria Fertility Center, Florence. A glossy private facility recommended by one of Lucia's clients. It was modern, expensive, and confident. After weeks of blood work, ultrasounds, and semen analysis, the doctor called them in. "It's your wife's hormones," he said briskly. "Her estrogen and FSH are slightly off. Probably poor egg quality. But don't worry, IVF will solve this." Lucia blinked, stunned. What about Roberto's sperm analysis? A little on the lower side, but nothing major. 2 years later, they tried again, this time in Milan. The clinic was warmer, more holistic. Here, they underwent new tests. Lucia's tubes were checked, clear, her ovulation tracked, regular, and Roberto's sperm retested. The result? "Everything looks acceptable," the doctor said, almost apologetically. "This is one of those cases we call unexplained infertility. Sometimes, it just doesn't happen." Lucia cried the whole way back to Siena. Roberto didn't speak for 3 days. They both felt cursed. How could nothing be wrong and still no baby? Clinic 3, Swiss Fertility Research Center, Geneva. By year 7, they left Italy altogether. Friends told them Switzerland had cutting-edge research, so they flew to Geneva for a full workup. Here, the doctors were colder, more technical. The testing was intense. "You have signs of early ovarian aging," the Swiss doctor told Lucia, showing her low AMH levels on a chart. "Your reserve is declining. If we act quickly, egg freezing and IVF may be options." "And Roberto?" Lucia asked. He looked at her husband gravely. "His count is normal, but his sperm DNA fragmentation is slightly elevated. Could be affecting embryo quality." The couple left disoriented. They'd come in believing the issue was Lucia. Now they weren't sure anymore. Clinic 4, Rome Hope Reproductive Institute. They returned to Italy and tried one last clinic, this time in Rome. The doctor, older and soft-spoken, took a long look at Roberto's results and his lifestyle habits. Rich foods, heavy wine, late nights, stress. "Mr. Ventresca," he said carefully, "your testosterone is borderline low. Your sperm count has declined steadily over the last 3 years. This could be linked to your lifestyle, cigars, stress, poor sleep. I would recommend a full detox and a supplement-based sperm boost before proceeding." Roberto bristled at the suggestion. He didn't like the idea of being the problem. "You're blaming my wine and steak for this?" he scoffed. Lucia said nothing, but something broke in her. Year 10, the silence before the storm. By their 10th anniversary, the romance had dimmed. Their once lively villa outside Siena now echoed with unspoken words. They no longer made love with joy, it was mechanical, timed, full of pressure. Roberto buried himself in work and cars. Lucia traveled more, finding comfort in hotel rooms and long-haul flights. They had spent tens of thousands of euros, endured 4 clinics, multiple diagnoses, and yet, no clear answers. One night, after a charity gala in Florence, Lucia whispered through tears, "Maybe we should adopt?" But Roberto turned away.
No.
"We'll have our own." Somehow, by the middle of their 10th year of marriage, Roberto and Lucia were emotionally exhausted. Their relationship had become more like a truce than a marriage, civil, respectful, but haunted by the absence of a child. They no longer argued much, but the silence between them was heavier than words. It was during a quiet dinner one evening that their friend Marco, who had become a father recently after nearly a decade of waiting, brought it up again. "I've told you before," he said, sipping his espresso slowly. "Dr. S.A. changed everything for us." Lucia nodded absently, stirring her tea. "Just last year we were exactly where you are. Empty. Tired. I saw her page on Instagram, sent her a DM, at MD People's Doctor. That's the handle." Roberto gave a skeptical grunt. "You're saying Instagram solved your fertility problem?" "I'm saying we now have a daughter after 9 years of failed IVF and prayers. That didn't happen by accident." Lucia perked up. "At MD People's Doctor?" "Yes," Marco replied. "Send a message. Tell her your story. Don't wait." That night, Lucia couldn't sleep. She scrolled through Instagram under the sheets while Roberto snored beside her. She found the page easily. Dr. S.A., the People's Doctor Fertility and Wellness Specialist. There were testimonials, women holding newborns, couples embracing with joy, posts filled with encouragement and medical knowledge. Something about the tone felt personal, genuine. She hesitated for a moment, then typed,
Hello, Dr. S.
"My name is Lucia Ventresca. My husband and I have been trying to conceive for over 10 years. We've done multiple tests across Europe with different results. We heard about you from a friend and would like to know how to start. We're both 40. Thank you." She pressed send and waited. Dr. S.A. responded within 48 hours. "Hello, Lucia. Thank you for reaching out. I'm sorry about what you've been through. I work with many couples facing similar journeys. You can begin by booking a consultation. I will provide you with a full fertility test list afterward. Once we review your results, we can begin targeted treatment. Please click the link in my bio to make payment for consultation." Lucia read the message 3 times, heart pounding. Felt different, direct, professional, but hopeful. She called Roberto into the room. She replied. Roberto scanned the message, then sighed. "All right, let's see what this one says." They paid for the consultation that evening. The test list. The next morning, Dr. S.A. replied with a detailed message and an attached list. "Thank you for your payment, Lucia. Below is a list of fertility tests I will need from both of you. Once you send the results, we can begin assessment." For Lucia, hormonal profile, day 2 to 5 of cycle, pelvic scan, HSG, to check tubal patency, thyroid panel, prolactin. For Roberto, semen analysis at an approved fertility lab, scrotal scan, hormonal panel, FSH, LH, testosterone, prolactin, lifestyle assessment. Lucia was impressed. No one had ever given them such a clear, structured list before. "I'll get mine done after my trip," Lucia said. "The textile convention in Madrid is next week, and from there I'm heading to Berlin and Oslo. I'll be away for almost a month." Roberto nodded. "Fine. I'll do mine this week." Roberto's test results. By the following week, Roberto submitted all his test results. When the semen analysis came in, the numbers were jarring. Sperm count, low. Motility, poor. Morphology, abnormal. Volume and vitality, below normal range. Dr. S.A.'s feedback came swiftly. Roberto's sperm is significantly below optimal fertility levels. He will require an intensive sperm boost protocol for 12 weeks. This will improve count, quality, and strength. I'll also include supplements that repair sperm DNA fragmentation. He must be disciplined, no alcohol, no smoking, healthy diet, consistent hydration. Roberto sighed heavily as he read the report. He hadn't expected to be the main issue. Over the years, all the hints had been pointing toward Lucia. But now, the numbers didn't lie. "I'll do the treatment," he told Dr. S.A. over Instagram voice note. "And if this works, if my wife gets pregnant after this, I'll give you one of my cars. I swear." Dr. S.A. laughed lightly. "I don't want your car, Mr. Ventresca. I want your testimony." "No, I'm serious," he insisted. 10 years is too long. If this works, you deserve something real." "All right then," she said. "Let's focus on getting you both there." As Lucia packed her bags for Madrid, she hugged Roberto tighter than usual. "Let's try to keep hope alive. Okay?" He nodded. "I've already started the meds. You just focus on your trip. When you return, we'll do yours." They kissed at the airport. Felt like a new beginning, but Roberto underestimated the effect of the medication. Within just 10 days of taking the sperm boost, changes surged through his body. Stronger erections, high libido, clearer mental focus. The pills were working too well, and in the silence of their big villa, while Lucia traveled across Europe, someone slipped back into his life. Julia. It began with a message, short, casual, and dangerous. "Ciao, Roberto. It's been a while. Just saw your post about that 1973 Maserati. Still your favorite. Julia, the one woman he can't let go even in marriage. Who knew his weaknesses well. They had ended things nearly 2 years ago because his wife was suspicious, quietly, without drama. Julia always delivers whenever Roberto calls, because she has always wanted him to be with her. It had always been unspoken between them. She was the escape, never the future. But something about the loneliness in the house, the new fire in his body from the medications, and Lucia's absence, made him respond. "Still my favorite. Some things don't change. How've you been?" "Lonely sometimes. I miss us. Do you ever think of me?" He didn't answer for a while. But later that night, after 2 glasses of Amarone and 1 too many thoughts, he typed, "Yes." They agreed to meet discreetly at Hotel Eden in Rome, a high-end spot with heavy curtains and no questions asked. Roberto arrived first, his heart racing, unsure whether it was guilt or excitement pounding in his chest. Julia walked in wearing a red satin blouse and black jeans. Her hair was loose, her perfume familiar. "I knew you'd come," she whispered, stepping into his arms. "You feel different." He didn't even respond. The moment their lips touched, something primal took over. They barely made it past the door. What followed was unlike anything they'd shared in the past. His body was electric, responsive, hard, and relentless. Julia gasped between kisses. "Roberto, what have you been taking? This is insane." He grinned between thrusts. "It's a long story. More than one night. That night turned into 2. Then 3. Over the next week, Roberto met Julia again twice. Each time, she remarked about the same thing, his stamina, his performance, the shocking difference in his body. "I swear, if you'd been like this before," she laughed once, "I'd have never let you go." He brushed it off as nothing. He told himself it was a temporary mistake, a distraction while Lucia was away. He'd stop, soon. But then, 2 weeks later, his phone buzzed. "We need to talk. It's urgent." "Julia," he called instantly. Her voice was shaky. "I've missed my period." "What?" "It's 4 days late. I took 2 pregnancy tests this morning. Both positive. I think I'm pregnant." He sat on the edge of his bed in disbelief. "That's not possible." "I mean, you know it is," she cut in. "You said it yourself. Your body is different now. You've been taking something, haven't you?" He went silent. Julia whispered, "You told me your wife is still trying, right? That she's not pregnant." "She's not," he murmured. There was a pause. "So what are you going to do?" The panic. Roberto's world tilted. His wife would be home in 3 days. They were supposed to visit Dr. S.A. again with her test results. This was the moment everything was meant to start going right. But instead, he had just gotten another woman pregnant. A woman who knew exactly how to reach him, who held something over him now. The secret grows. Julia texted him again a few days later. It's confirmed. I'm 6 weeks along. It's a boy. Meanwhile, Lucia arrived home, exhausted but hopeful. She hugged him tightly. I'm ready. Let's go back to Dr. S.A. next week. I've done all the tests. They're in my email. Yes. Let's do that. But something in his eyes had changed. He knew this secret would grow inside Julia, 1 month at a time, until truth or guilt exploded it all. It had been 3 days since Lucia returned from her business trip. The house felt warmer again. Her laughter echoed down the hallway as she unpacked gifts from Spain and Germany, smiling and humming to herself. But inside Roberto, the weight of Julia's news pressed harder each day. She was 6 weeks pregnant. She had already sent him a scan. He hadn't told anyone, not even his friend Marco, who had referred him to Dr. S.A. But he couldn't keep it in anymore. One night, while Lucia was on a video call with clients in Denmark, Roberto slipped into his study, opened Instagram, and sent Dr. S.A. a voice note in frustration, without even explaining the full story. You said the meds would take 12 weeks to work. It's only been 8. Why is someone pregnant already? And my wife still isn't. What kind of treatment is this? Dr. S.A. responded almost immediately, calm and professional. I advised a full 12-week protocol for optimal results, yes. But improvement can begin as early as 4 to 6 weeks in men who respond well. I also emphasized both partners need full testing before trying. We haven't seen your wife's tests yet. So why didn't you warn me it would work this fast? He snapped. Mr. Ventresca, she replied. My job is to restore your fertility. What you chose to do with it during your wife's absence is your responsibility. He didn't reply. You remember the car you promised me if your wife got pregnant after the treatment? I believe this calls for a celebration. Roberto's fingers tightened around his phone. A mix of shame and anger flared in his chest. He took a deep breath and began to type. Hold on, doctor. That wasn't the deal. I said if my wife got pregnant, not my side chick. The tone in his message was different now. Cold. Defensive. You didn't do your job right. I came to you so my wife could get pregnant. You didn't even check her tests. How can you be asking for a car? Another pause. Dr. S.A. responded firmly, but calmly. Mr. Ventresca, I can only work with what is given to me. You completed your tests. Your wife didn't. I warned you the treatment would make you fertile, and you chose how to use that fertility. I restored your body's ability to conceive. That was my job, and it was done. You made a promise, and whether it was your wife or another woman, the outcome proves the treatment worked. But Roberto wasn't having it.
No.
I'm not giving you anything. In fact, I could sue you for making false claims. This wasn't supposed to happen. You should have made things clearer. For a moment, there was silence between them. Then her final message came, firm, no longer warm. I'm sorry you feel that way, but I stand by the results. You got what you asked for. I'll respect your decision. Good luck, Mr. Ventresca. And when Dr. S.A. followed up days later, asking if Lucia had taken her tests, Roberto went cold. He never responded again. And with that, their correspondence ended. It was a quiet Saturday morning in Bologna. The sun spilled gently across the kitchen tiles. Lucia was humming as she prepared breakfast, eggs, tomatoes, a slice of toast, and a small espresso. Her hair was tied back, her face still glowing from her recent business trip. She had something exciting to share. Roby, she said cheerfully, I have my results. I finally got all the tests Dr. S.A. listed. Took a while, but I did them. Roberto, seated by the window with a newspaper, looked up slowly. Oh, great. I was thinking we could email them to her today. I'm ready to go all in. It's time, don't you think? She smiled, her eyes hopeful. Roberto felt his throat tighten. His smile was faint. Maybe let's not rush. You just got back, you must be tired. Maybe take a few more days to rest. Lucia tilted her head. But I'm not tired. In fact, I feel more ready than ever. We've waited 10 years, Roby. I know, he said quickly. It's just, maybe we should get a second opinion again, just to be sure. I'm not so sure about this whole people's doctor place anymore. Lucia frowned. You were the one who insisted we go to her. He stood up, already regretting his words. I just want us to be careful. Maybe she's not the miracle worker people say. Lucia grew quiet, nodding slowly. All right, I'll wait a bit. Months passed. Lucia had begun to suspect something. Roberto had grown distant, avoided appointments, always on his phone late at night, defensive about messages. She brushed it off at first. Maybe it was work stress. Maybe he was anxious too. But then came the moment. Lucia had been cleaning the guest room when she stumbled on Roberto's old phone, the one he used during the early months of treatment. It was turned off, buried in a drawer. Something told her to power it on. She hesitated, then pressed the button. The phone blinked to life. Dozens of unread notifications lit up the screen. A WhatsApp notification preview caught her attention. Julia, I'm so happy you kept him. Our baby boy is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. You're already such a great father, Roby. Lucia's heart stopped. She opened the chat thread. Hundreds of messages, pictures, voice notes, a photo of a newborn baby wrapped in a blue blanket, a timestamp from just 3 days ago. She scrolled until she saw it. I was scared you'd ask me to abort him, but you didn't. I'll never forget that. You're his first home. Lucia dropped the phone. That night, she waited in the living room. When Roberto walked in, she said nothing, just slid the phone across the table. He stared at it, then at her. He opened his mouth to explain, but the look in her eyes silenced him. You kept it from me, she said, her voice calm. Too calm. You kept him from me. After everything we've been through. I didn't mean to. You told me to wait, to hold on, while you had another woman carry the child we've prayed for. I didn't plan it, it just happened. I was lonely, and the meds. Don't, she cut him off. Don't blame the meds. You could have told me. You could have stopped. You chose this. Tears slipped down her face, silent and steady. And you kept the baby. After all these years, you gave our dream to someone else. He couldn't answer, because everything she said was true. Weeks passed. Lucia moved into her sister's home in Florence. She didn't speak to Roberto, not even when he sent messages, asking if she wanted to try again, promising to fix things. She wanted space to clear her head. Marco, his friend, and the one who had originally recommended Dr. Esse, was the one who broke the news to her. He met Dr. Esse at her clinic, the Lagos branch. They didn't last, Marco said quietly. Lucia found out about the baby. A boy. The side chick gave birth 2 months ago. Roberto kept the baby. Dr. Esse, who had been watering her potted plant, froze. She never got pregnant? She asked softly. Marco shook his head. Not once. She still hasn't. The doctor sighed deeply, setting the watering can down. That's the tragedy of doing what I do. The body can be healed, but the heart. She paused. That's out of my hands. This is a true life story. Apart from Dr. Esse that is real, the names and pictures are not the actual persons, but it happened. Kindly like, share and subscribe for more amazing stories.